Every year in the NFL, it's a new team. As far as goals go, we have one. Putting a f***ing ring on our finger.
Welcome to the Buccaneers Observer Podcast. This is Ralph Phillips.
I'm Molly Bay.
Today is November 4th, 2021. It is a Thursday. We're doing this podcast late and early. This is a combination of the Wednesday and Friday podcast. We're going on vacation this weekend. Won't be back.
I'm dragging
Tuesday.
Ralph, kicking and screaming.
I know.
He does
I just
not
don't
want
like to go places. Most dudes don't like to travel.
This is how bad he is. I had to surprise him for his 50th birthday with a trip to the Buccaneers practice training camp. I had to surprise him with it because I knew if I had asked him ahead of time, he would have said no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just don't like to travel. Just not a big fan of it. I get bored to death driving. I hate driving. And flying is just such a pain anymore. All the early check-ins and the weights and the security stuff. And the airplanes are just crap. I mean, every time I've flown in the past 20 years, definitely in the past 10, the airports, the airplanes, everything's just dirty.
It feels like bus stations.
Yeah.
You feel like you're in a bus station.
Yeah. So, well, just not a fan of traveling. But
even for the Buccaneers.
Yeah. But that's just how it is. But we're gone. We won't be back, and we won't have another podcast out till Wednesday next week.
We did specifically plan this trip around the Bucs bye week.
Yeah.
I'm a good wife.
She is. This is true. Okay, we got a good podcast for you today. Going to cover some Bucs news, some news around the league, and then we're going to go over the All-22 with that horrible Saints game, and I'll tell you my thoughts on it and some of the things that I saw. Molly doesn't know any of it because we haven't talked about it at all.
He hasn't said anything, not a word.
I got up I started working at like 2 a.m. Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? No, it came out Tuesday. So Tuesday. Anyhow, spent all day Wednesday.
The day.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was yesterday, Wednesday.
Yes. So I was up at 2 a.m. doing it, and then all day. I couldn't do it Tuesday because the kid was home. It was National Voting Day. And apparently the schools are out now for that. So it kind of surprised us. It was like, oh, man, kids home.
I know. Good thing that the school called. They do their automated thing. They email, they call, they text you to say they're going to be out. Thank God they did because I had no idea. Yeah. Completely missed that one.
Been really dumb sitting at the bus stop.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in school, they didn't call you for nothing.
Yeah.
They didn't call.
They didn't have telephones back when you were in school.
What?
What?
They what?
So they didn't even have telephones back when you were in school. You had to send it by pterodactyl.
Yeah.
Pterodactyl. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I always say pterodactyl because I think it's funny. I think it's funny saying
it's hysterical.
Funny names.
I did the courtesy laugh.
Nobody else finds my name mauling funny but me.
But
the baby likes it, so that's what matters. All right.
I get no credit for laughing at your stupid jokes. I'm just gonna quit.
Enough jibber jabbering. Let's get to some football, man. What do you got, Molly? What's going on around the world?
Okay. The Saints, Michael Thomas is apparently out for the season. After suffering an ankle injury, which I thought that's what he was having surgery to repair. Mm-hmm. So he will not be back. Probably saw the Bucs defense. I was like, I don't want to do that. And also, Taysom Hill returned to practice this week. So it looks like they might get him back with Jameis's.
Do you reckon he's going to be the starter or Simeon? I mean, Simeon came in and played okay against us, right?
I think that Taysom Hill is Sean Payton's guy. So it'll be Taysom Hill until he sucks so bad you can't justify it anymore.
All right. Oh, well, that was going to happen with Jameis too. So
it was. It just happened that he got hurt before that happened. But so there we go. They play Atlanta this weekend, apparently. So New Orleans gets 2 division games back to back.
Yes.
I know what that is. So, in other news, 2 former Buccaneers made some headlines this week. Vernon Hargreaves was cut by Lovie Smith. Like, imagine being bad enough to get cut by Lovie Smith.
What?
Vernon Hargreaves, yeah, they cut him. The Texans
Seriously?
did.
Wow.
Yeah. And Cincinnati picked him up, which that was a surprise to me.
Wow.
And also Deshaun Jackson with the Rams, he made some headlines this week because apparently he was not happy there and wanted to get traded. They looked for trade partners, couldn't find any. So they waived him, and he has cleared waivers, so he's a free agent.
Who was that again? I'm sorry.
Deshaun Jackson.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised he's still playing.
I know. I don't think he's going to get picked up.
Odell Beckham, do you have that story?
No.
The Browns are thinking that they're going to get rid of him, and they're saying that he wants to come play with the Buccaneers.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is he going to play behind Scotty Miller?
Right.
Who the hell?
we can't squeeze him in. There's no way.
I know. Yeah. And isn't he... Well, his dad, posted a video, right? Criticizing Baker Mayfield. That's what I saw. And he's not thrilled about his whole situation there. They haven't played him. He's been out of practice for 2 days now because he's being pissy. I don't have time for these diva wide receivers.
The last thing we need is another wide receiver.
Good Lord. Seriously. And especially when they're trouble.
Yeah.
Or
well, that's what you said about Antonio Brown.
That's true. He's been no trouble, but he's different.
That's different. If Odell Beckham comes to the team, we'll love him to death, though.
Sure, yeah, but I don't know. That's not the way that ain't it.
Yes.
It's not how you do it.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I know.
Apparently, Brady and OBJ have wanted OBJ have wanted to play together for a while, and they said they've discussed making it happen. So.
Well, isn't the trade deadline passed?
Yeah, they'd have to release him. The Browns.
But don't they still have to pay his contract if that happens?
No, not if they cut him.
No.
They trade him.
And then we'd have to sign. He'd have to clear waivers. Would he have to clear waivers?
Yeah, if they just outright released him.
He wouldn't clear waivers.
Who knows? But we don't need him, and I think
logistically, it just seems like I don't even see how it could happen.
Yeah,
maybe next year. Better luck next year, dude.
We didn't think Antonio Brown was coming either. We were the same way. We were like, we don't need Antonio Brown.
Resign the whole team. Yeah. Didn't think that was gonna happen.
This front office does magic, so you never know.
I know. That's true. Shouldn't underestimate them.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So this has implications for next week when we return from the bye. Washington's defensive end Montez Sweat suffered a fracture in his jaw, and he could miss as much as a month.
That's crazy.
So imagine they played Denver. Imagine getting hurt against Denver. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to have to miss a month. Great. A jaw, too. How does that happen?
Yeah.
It's a very rare injury unless you're Geno Smith.
Yeah, that happened in practice. The guy punched him in the face.
Yeah, in the locker room, right?
I thought it was on the field. I don't remember. That was a long time ago.
I know. That's how long he's been in the league. He still feels like a whippersnapper to me.
We'll give it another 30 years.
I know.
Tom Brady still feels like a whippersnapper to me.
He's ancient in football years. Okay, let's talk about the Aaron Rodgers thing because I'm so conflicted about this. I'm so conflicted. Y'all know how I can't stand Aaron Rodgers.
Correct.
And I think he's a pissy bitch, which he is. And apparently, okay, so if you're out of the loop, this would happen. Aaron Rodgers tested positive for COVID, and they put him on the COVID list, and they're already ruling him out for Sunday. And so if he had been vaccinated, they would have ruled him out. Like, he had time to come back had he been vaccinated. And I think like if they're asymptomatic, if we do this every time, we just need to keep the rules up. If they're asymptomatic, like, they can come back, right? If they're vaccinated. I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway.
I can't remember. I think they have to test positive twice in 24 hours.
Test negative.
48 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, negative.
So anyway, they figured out that he's unvaccinated because of the time frame. Like, they had already ruled him out. He cannot make it back in time for the game. But in August, he had told reporters that he was vaccinated. And apparently what happened is that he got some kind of homeopathic treatment and submitted it to the NFL for approval so that he could be considered vaccinated. And the NFL denied it. But he's pissed, and of course the media was all couch feigning because he, wasn't adhering to some of the rules, and they're like, oh, he was unvaccinated and we were around him because that's how that works. Like, if you're just unvaccinated, you're unclean. And
the unwashed.
Yeah, you're the unwashed. But then apparently the NFL report, it was from NFL media, came out and said, let me see. Yeah, it was the NFL media went and said he confirmed that he wasn't vaccinated. So he is pissed. He's mad, apparently. But he hasn't been in front of any media. Obviously, he's quarantining at this point. But he's, someone's reporting, per a league source, as sources, he's really mad that his vaccination status was leaked by the media. And it's funny to me because, I can't stand him, but then also the media, I'm just so conflicted.
Catch-22 there.
I know, it's like the red button meme where you're like, which one do you push?
Which one do you dislike most?
Whose side am I on here? It's hard to. So anyway, I'm curious what the homeopathic treatment was.
Crystals.
I don't know.
Acupuncture.
Like, okay, I don't know. I that's the first I've ever heard of anyone treating or trying to get immunity through homeopathic remedies. So I'm just intrigued.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? What do you do?
Yeah, the whole thing I don't understand about the vaccination stuff, and we talked about this, I think last year, or definitely this off season, is people who have had it are immune to it. Mm-hmm. They've got the antibodies and everything. Why in the world do they need to get vaccinated? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it makes no sense.
Don't know.
I don't know.
It's just weird, man.
It's a power thing.
Pfizer's making a ton of money, though. All of them are. They popped off, I think, $40 billion this quarter or something like that profit.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
I mean, to act like that's not an incentive.
I'm in the wrong business.
I know. Should have bought Pfizer stock. So that's the Aaron Rodgers story. And
so is he going to be out for 2 weeks?
I think it's 10 days they have to be out.
And they're playing, oh gosh, who is it? I know who it is, but I can't recall who it is. Do you know who it is? Mm-hmm. Who is it?
Kansas City.
Oh, they're playing Kansas City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jordan Love is going to get the start. While Aaron Rodgers fumes at the media on his couch.
Kansas City sure is looking bad this year.
I know.
They barely won the other night against the Giants.
Oh, no.
Like the Giants?
The Giants.
Y'all should have just beat them up and down the field.
Trounced them.
No, well, think they're regressing to the mean. Yeah, and Mahomes comes out and like immediately threw an interception. He's had an interception in 8 straight games, at least one. A couple of them he's had more than one, right?
Who could have possibly seen that coming?
I know. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
With the Buccaneers, Scotty Miller and SMB are scheduled to come back. They should be back for the week 11. Is that what we're at?
Okay, hold on.
We're skipping week 10. That's our bye week.
No, week 9 is our bye.
Is this week 9 coming up?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So they should be back for week 10.
Yay.
And
Washington?
Yes, and Gronk should be back too.
That Gronk thing made me nervous. Like, back stingers are no joke.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, ooh. Let's not play around with that.
No, back issues of any kind are horrible.
Mm-hmm. Didn't he have back surgery?
Good Lord, I think he's had surgery on everything.
I know.
They just experiment with him like a cyborg or whatever.
He's a robot person. He's got robot legs.
Robot person? Like cyborg?
Yeah. You know what I meant.
I know what you meant. It was just weird coming out your mouth.
Okay. Yeah, he had back surgery before. He had a herniated disc. He had one of those.
Yeah. Healed it myself. Didn't need no surgery.
That's right.
That's how I do it, man. I tell you, I'm not a big fan of the medical community either. So I try to avoid them at all costs. I've done pretty good so far.
You shouldn't say it like that. It sounds bad. You're going to offend people.
Well, what? Say what?
I don't know. We could have medical community that listen to us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, they know. It's their job.
They know how many of their coworkers are crap.
Yeah, and how much crazy stuff that goes on in the hospitals, doctors' offices, and stuff. And I tell you, it's like a car and a body have a lot of similarities, a lot of differences too, of course. But there's a lot of similarities between a vehicle, a car, and a doctor's office. But for some reason, people treat doctors like they're, this all-knowing, very high-level elite people, and auto mechanics they can't stand. Most people are just, they're like, oh, they're going to shaft you. They're going to find something wrong, even when the car's fine, or they're going to, fix the problem and just patch it up with duct tape and everything. I'm here to tell you, not a whole lot of difference between auto mechanics and doctors. I was raised in the medical industry. There ain't a whole lot of difference. Ego. That'd probably be where I would say the difference.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't even like people working on my car. I do all my own car work.
Yeah.
I'll do my own surgery. I give myself appendicitis.
I will say I've never had a doctor diagnose me correctly. Like, I had to diagnose myself and go tell them what it was.
Yeah, the internet has really helped doctors out.
I know, but they hate it. They hate, it's Dr. Google. But I'm like, if I didn't tell you what was wrong with me, you'd say there was nothing wrong with me and send me home. So
I know. It's it is funny. I mean, and it's kind of the joke with them too. It's take 2 aspirins, call me in the morning. Mm-hmm. And they say, the studies have shown that 50% of everybody that goes to a doctor, the doctors say there's nothing wrong with them. Mm-hmm. So it's like half. So that's just got to drive them crazy too. They're, all these people coming in and they're just like, there ain't nothing wrong with you. Just go home. Anyhow, my point being, I avoid going under the knife. Mm-hmm. I fixed my own back issues.
What did you do? Yoga? Like yoga.
Yeah, and decompression, and I stretch it out specifically. I do it every morning now. For years I've been doing it. And it
just squished right back
in there. Right back in. Yep.
And that happened because I made Ralph go to the trampoline park for his birthday.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So.
Don't go to a trampoline park if you haven't been to a trampoline park and think that you're 20-year-old Sprite again.
Hey, even me in my 30s, I hurt my knee.
Yeah.
It was not
we both walked away from that.
Yeah, it was not a good day.
In pain. Actually, it did, though the back thing didn't pop up till a couple days later. And I was like, what happened with my back? I had back issues before from a rogue VCR that fell off the TV. I jumped out of the way. Boy, that was 2 years of back issues there. So anyhow, yeah. So then I go to this trampoline park and bouncing around we were there for hours. Yeah. We were exhausted.
Hurting. No, I think they only give you like an hour. We weren't there that long. I think they only give you an hour.
It just seemed like hours.
I know.
But yeah, it wasn't until a couple days later I was like, oh man, my back, what's wrong? And I had this big lump in my spine. Yeah, so there you go.
There we go.
I'll avoid going to the doctors for anything. I mean, I just do not go. Don't go. Try to avoid it. Third leading cause of death is going to see a doctor. I'm not going to put myself in that situation. Oh my goodness.
I'm with you.
Yeah, we've done pissed off every.
I know, every profession. I mean, who else should we talk about?
They know.
All right, let's go through. I'm done with the news. You got any more news?
No.
Okay. All right, let's do the game film. What you got? What happened?
I've got notes.
Okay, let's do that.
Lots and lots of notes here. Okay, so what was the summary after the game?
Oh, the refs just effed us. They were trash.
Refs were crappy. What else?
Oh, Tom Brady. It was Tom Brady's fault.
Tom Brady's fault. Anything else? Nothing that you can remember?
Not that I can recall.
Yeah, that about sums it up, I think.
Okay.
We were quite disappointed, but again, the Saints wanted it more than we did. It meant a lot more to them. I think at the end of the season, we're going to be in a much better place than they are. I think, as you can see, I mean, they've lost Michael Thomas. They've lost Jameis Winston. It's not like they beat our butts. They barely squeaked out a win. They're on their way down. I think we're fine. With this game, it was the weirdest thing. Weird. I'm going to read my notes, my summary notes real quick. This is what I had written down. First quarter, I said, they are more physical so far. Then it was all short, quick passes. They were just throwing these short, quick passes. It was Jameis Winston, just these short, quick passes. 51, their right guard, Cesar Ruiz, kept getting beat. He was bad. That guy was horrible. The second quarter, Simeon's first pass was deep. So it kind of switched it up on us. Whereas most of Winston's were short, Simeon ended up doing a lot of short passes, but he had some deep ones too. Then I said we allowed too much yards after the catch due to missed tackles on the short passes. Then 31 Winfield intercepted the ball a split second before Golston hit the quarterback. And we had talked about this after the game, and I said that, I can't wait to get the game film so I could see it. It was really hard to see. Took me a while to get it figured out. But he definitely caught the pass a step before Golston hit Simeons. So that should have been, I don't have a problem with the call. I think it's sissified, of course. All he did was bump into the quarterback, shoved him a little bit. But it should have been 15 yards from, we get the ball and then a 15-yard penalty. If that.
For the refs, that's too hard to make that.
Right.
There's no way that because it's one.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, well, it's one ref back witnessing the interception and another ref watching the personal foul penalty, the roughing the passer penalty. So there's no way that they could have made the right call if it was really that close.
Yes. Yeah, it was, you had to slow it down and look at it. And I don't really have an issue with it so much as I do just I just hate this, roughing the quarterback crap. That's,
and it didn't even really look like. I mean,
no.
I don't think they should have called roughing the passer. I don't think they should have called it at all. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just that's just one where you're like, one, I don't know what Golston was thinking. I really don't. I'd love to hear his, what were you thinking? Were you just frustrated? Were you aggravated? Did you think he still had the ball?
I mean, did he shove him?
Yeah, he just kind of pushed him.
Okay.
Kind of bumped into him and pushed him at the same time. And, just made Simeon stumble. It wasn't hard. It wasn't harsh.
Yeah.
But
they're going to call it. I mean, you run the risk when you do something like that they're going to call you for it.
Right. Okay. And then they only got a field goal out of that. And then this is still going on this theme. Missed tackles are costing us bad. Now, these are all notes, summary notes that I'm writing down. I'll go into more detail with all this stuff here in a minute. Third quarter notes. We just playing sloppy. White is being chippy with everybody. Stephen White. Barrett got chippy once even.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was in the second quarter. 39 seconds left to go. 72 to the left tackle. Teron Armstead. Him and Barrett were in each other's face and shoving and fighting. Ooh. Barrett never, ever does that. Ever. It's the first time I've seen it in all the years I've been watching him. And then fourth quarter, Desir had a bad game.
Ooh.
Yeah. So those are my summary notes for each quarter. Now let's break it down a little bit further. We talked about the penalties. Now, I'm going to go through all the penalties and just show how they just don't matter that much. I mean, I hate penalties. I hate them. I can't stand them. But all penalties are not equal. We've said this before. It's just like sacks. All sacks are not equal. All penalties are not equal. I'm going to go through the penalties here. Okay, the first one was Donovan's holding penalty, right? This was in the first quarter. 3 plays later, we got a touchdown. So that penalty didn't mean a thing. The second penalty was Devin White's horse collar, right? Which I, to this day, don't think that was a horse collar. Technically, it wasn't a horse collar. I understand why they threw the penalty and, why they could say it should have been a penalty.
Were they just brushing up on the rule book? Like, I feel like that's one where it's like you really have to read it to know that that's a penalty.
Almost everybody, and me included, were all like, that wasn't a horse collar. He grabbed him by the outside of the shoulder pad. But according to the rule, that's technically a horse collar.
They've never called that in the history of the NFL.
I've never seen it called. I know. And that to me technically is not what makes that not a horse collar call. It was the fact that White didn't drag him down. The penalty, the rules specifically say that you have to drag them down by the horse collar. Down to the ground.
To the ground, down towards the ground.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Devin White didn't do that. He pulled him horizontally. Now, that no matter how White hit him or grabbed him, that was going to happen. And if it didn't happen in this game, it was going to happen eventually. We all knew it was going to happen with Jameis Winston. He's just not. He's kind of clumsy. He's a clumsy runner. Mm-hmm. He took a lot of bad hits with us. He took bad hits in this game before that happened. And, it was just the way, Devin grabbed him and he was still moving forward and he actually put a foot out. He put his leg that got hurt, put it out after Devin grabbed him. And that's what ended up hurting him. If he would have just collapsed when Devin grabbed him, or at least, not tried to keep going forward, whatever, then he wouldn't have been in that issue. But Devin grabbed him and pulled him backwards. He didn't pull him to the ground. Now, Jameis Winston ended up going to the ground, and Devin had his hand with him as he went to the ground, but Devin pulled him backwards. So technically, that was not a horse collar. Anyhow, we get the horse collar penalty, and guess what? 4 plays later, they punt the ball. So that penalty didn't affect anything. It might have been a little 15 yards in field position. That's it. Okay. Next penalty was Cam Gill, a holding call on a punt. Now, 8 plays after that, we got the ball. 8 plays after that, after we went 50 yards down the field, Tom Brady fumbles the ball. So that penalty had no effect on the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next one was Devin White and Golston's roughing the passer. Now, both of them happened on early downs, first and second down. First and second down. So they weren't third down things. They didn't help them get a long distance for third down or whatever. And they started at the Tampa Bay 26. Both of those penalties started. The first one was at Tampa's 26, and then the second one was at the Tampa, I think, 15. But they were already in field goal range. And what happened, the consequences of those two penalties was just that they moved a little bit closer and kicked a field goal. So those two penalties didn't affect the game. I mean, you could say, well, maybe he would have missed it from further out. Yeah, that's true. Okay, then Anthony Nelson gets an offsides penalty. It actually the whistle should have been blown dead because when he jumped offsides, their left guard moved first or moved after that. So they should have blown the play dead, but they didn't. They let it go. Okay, now after that, there was a touchdown 3 plays later. It was a 2nd and 10 from the Tampa 10, which turned into a 2nd and 5 from the 5. So they just went from a 2nd and 10 to a 2nd and 5. It wasn't that big of a deal. Okay, Ronald Jones, false start. Next penalty. Okay, 2 plays later, Mike Evans scores a big touchdown. That penalty didn't affect the game at all. Then the next penalty was Ryan Jensen's holding. That was on a 1st and 10, which turned it into a 1st and 20, and we just couldn't get out of that hole and ended up having to punt it 4 plays later. That one you could say, okay, that put us in a bad spot. Then the next penalty was a neutral zone infraction, but JPP and Barrett both jumped. But I will say that the left guard, or I think it was the left guard, it might have been the center, moved his butt. He squatted down a little bit, and that's when they both jumped, but they didn't call that. Okay, so that was a 3rd and 5. It turned into a 1st and 10 from the New Orleans 44. Then the very next play was the taunting penalty on Devin White. That made it 1st and 10 on New Orleans 44. 5 plays later, field goal. So you could say those two penalties, the taunting and the thing, helped in getting them a field goal. So far, out of all these penalties, a field goal is what you could say they got for all those penalties. Okay. And the last one was a Ross Cockrell defensive holding. Now, this one killed us. In this one, I don't know why it was called holding. Now, on the broadcast, you could see Ross Cockrell puts his hand inside the front of his neckline, the shoulder pads there. But you do not see the receiver move or jerk or anything like that. Ross Cockrell's just got his hand in there. It's kind of like he was running along beside him, and he had his hand in there. And you don't see at any point does he adjust the movement of the receiver, which is that's part required. Of the rule. Yes, okay. That's required for. You can grab people and you can hold people, but you can't move them and you can't adjust their movement. That's technically what holding is. It's not the actual grabbing of somebody. It's stopping their movement or moving them in a direction they didn't want to go. So anyhow, I don't think that should have been a holding call, but it hurt us because it was a 3rd and 5. We were up 27-26 with 2 minutes and 46 seconds left. If we would have got that, because we stopped it. We stopped that 3rd and 5, and then they threw the flag for the holding, gave them a 1st down. That allowed them to go.
They wanted it to keep going.
Yeah, the damn refs. I'll get to them in a second. So 3rd and 5, and you got the holding call, and it allowed them to move down the field a little bit more and get a field goal. And, that kind of changed the game. But you could see when they got it, the defense was excited. They were celebrating. They were running off the field. And then all of a sudden, you see them all to kind of turn around, and they just went, "Oh, you got to be crapping me." And after that, the defense was kind of just like, oh, God, what can we do?
It's got to be deflating.
Yeah, it was very deflating. So all those 11 penalties, I could say 2 of them, the last one, the Ross Cockrell one, really hurt. But out of all of them, you could say maybe 3 points. It's just, there's no way you could say the penalties cost us that game.
Well, to me, it was the penalties were just bull crap. That's what it felt like. A lot of them were nonsense.
Yeah. Yes. Yes and no.
Like, to me, I wouldn't say that the Buccaneers it was an indication that they were undisciplined. To me, it was the refs were shitty.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get into that here right now. All right.
Okay.
On the refs. On the Golston penalty, it should have been a 15 yards added after the turnover. The interception happened a step before the quarterback hit. Now, I don't blame the refs here because it happened so quick, but I think it's just crappy that's even a penalty. I just do. It's just nonsense. The White roughing when Devin White got called for roughing the passer, it could have been a face mask. I don't know what happened there. The ref had a better angle on it than I could get in any of the tape. But as Devin White, he swiped his hand and it just barely grazed the quarterback's face mask. But the quarterback, as White's hand was going past and going down, the quarterback knelt over and his face went with his hand. So it made it look a lot more worse than it was. And it actually looked like face mask. I don't know if the ref saw something there that I couldn't see. Maybe Devin did have his pinky stuck in the face mask or something. I don't know. But his helmet stayed right with his hand all the way through the motion. So you could kind of see where the refs would go, that looked like worse than it actually was. The Ross Cockrell one, I think that was just completely ticky-tacky. I just didn't see any holding there, and that one really hurt us. Again, the horse collar on, technically not a foul, but I could see why the refs would call it. It looked bad. But I'll tell you this, on that play, not only did Winston, it was going to happen to Winston eventually, and it was probably going to happen on that play because the way he just wanted to get them extra yards. He had 3 open receivers on that play.
Of course he did.
He had, I know, right?
Right, yeah.
I mean, how many times did that happen when he was with us? I would just get so mad. He'd have open receivers down the field. And Dirk Cutter was the master at scheming guys open. I mean, just a master at it. And Jameis Winston would run. There'd be somebody wide open in the end zone, and Jameis Winston would run.
Yeah.
And that's what he did on this play. There was 3 receivers he could have thrown to, and he decided to run.
Getting the happy feet.
Yeah.
Did he feel the phantom pressure, or someone was there, right?
Yeah, we got pressure on him, but he could have stepped out of the pocket. He was outside the pocket.
Yeah, a pocket passer would have stepped up and chunked it.
Right. He definitely shouldn't have run. Just silliness. Now, there were 12 uncalled penalties in this game.
On the Saints?
No.
Ooh.
7 of them were on us.
Oh, no.
Yes. That's the first time that's ever happened, where I was like, oh, we got lucky with the refs. And some of them were pretty bad. A lot of hands to the face. Face masking. So there was only 5 on the Saints, 5 uncalled penalties on the Saints. Now you even pointed this one out, the O.J. Howard one, where he made the catch and he's running and he goes to stiff arm the guy and he grabs him by the face mask and actually drags him behind him, holding his face mask. Yeah. I don't know how the rest did not see that.
I know.
I mean, and the receiver or the defender after the play is like jumping up and down and going,
like screaming.
Yes, and rightfully so. Mm-hmm. Rightfully so. Normally, if you see those guys calling for a foul like that, there was a foul. Mm-hmm. It's very rare if they're calling for a foul, and there wasn't one. That happened in 7:53 in the fourth quarter. 12 28 Thompson, my boy, our special teams guy, I really like him. He held 17 on a kickoff, and then 17. This was with a minute 24 left in the fourth quarter. 17 turned around and taunted him, got right up in his face and did the bye-bye sign. Oh. He was like, bye-bye. Yeah, so that should have been taunting.
They didn't call it.
No. There was also another taunting penalty, too. This was when Brady threw that interception. Brady just stood there with his hands on his hips. He didn't even move. He was just standing there. And 56 from New Orleans.
Is that Quan Alexander?
No. 56? Don't think so.
You got the roster up?
Yes. It's Demario Davis.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He walks over, and he just walked. And the play's still going on. You know, the defender is running the ball back for a touchdown. We got guys trying to tackle him and all this. And he walks and he stands about 5 yards away from Brady, right in his face. And he just puts up his arms like this. This is while the play's still going on.
How is that not taunting?
Exactly. It was
and
taunting.
The first one that you said with the bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that
but they called Devin White.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, as far as the penalties go, one, I think it's more the rules are stupid. I think the rules were stupid. And, you know, I think the refs actually gave us a break. Like I said, there were 7 penalties they didn't call on us that they could have.
You're just trying to cover for your comments in the preview about how great this ref crew is.
Cleat.
Yeah, Cleat.
No, I was actually very surprised. This game was very strange on all 22. The Buccaneers, we didn't play bad, but it was almost like we were in a fog. I'll go into it a little bit more here in a second, but we've had a couple of Keystone Cop games, and this was kind of like that. It wasn't that bad, but we couldn't get out of our own way. And all the breaks were going for the Saints. You know, like I said, the penalties that were called on us really didn't hurt us. You know, maybe 3 points, but that last one really did. You know, because that play. But again, you know, Tom Brady got the ball back, and everybody knew he was going to drive us down the field and most likely score a touchdown. But if nothing else, get us in field goal range. Nobody expected him to throw the ball right to the defender.
No one thought he'd score a touchdown for the other team.
Exactly. And we could have had 0 penalties in the whole game. And that right there would have cost us the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at, we had 11 penalties, 99 yards or something like that. Mm-hmm. And we still had the opportunity to win the game at the end.
We were right there. Yeah. Within 2 minutes, we were there.
Yes. So, it wasn't the penalties, not at all. And it really wasn't undisciplined play by us. We weren't out there like screwing things up. It was very, very strange. We had 7 missed tackles that I counted. Missed tackles really, really hurt us. Those 7 missed tackles I counted for 84 yards for them.
Ooh.
Yes. 4 of them were by Desir. That guy, he missed them. He was not.
Yeah.
And he got thrown on a couple times, one for a big bomb. They did push off on him, I felt, but it wasn't that bad. You should have been able to defeat that. He did not have a good game. Brady did a quick silent snap throughout most of this game. It was really interesting. He'd walk up there, he'd be in shotgun, and he'd walk up and he'd look around, he'd yell and, point out some people like that. And he'd lift his foot up real quick and Jensen would snap it to him immediately. Yeah. It was pretty neat. And it caught the Saints off guard a lot. Because normally what happens in a silent count is, you lift your foot up, the tackle watches, tackle will reach over and smack the center will hike the ball. And it gives the defense an opportunity to kind of know when the ball's getting ready to be snapped. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it'll just be the center and the quarterback. Quarterback will lift his foot up, center will be looking through his legs, and then the center will lift his head up and then snap the ball. So it's usually about a second, but not in this game. Brady would be looking around, and then he would just lift his foot up real quick, and Jensen would snap the ball immediately.
That's some top level communication right there.
Yes. Well, we didn't have any problems with the snaps, surprisingly, doing that. But they did. They fumbled the snap twice. Yes.
Was it Jameis or Trevor?
Simeon. He fumbled it one time. It was a low snap, and he fumbled it, falls to the ground, it rolls around. And all of our defensive line, you can see them, they're all looking at it, but nobody was like really going for it. It was the weirdest thing. And then he picks it up and throws a completed pass. It was just like, what? But it was just that kind of stuff throughout this whole game.
Mm-hmm.
When Brady fumbled the ball, right? He gets hit. Wirfs got pushed back into him, and the defender reached over and hit Brady's hands. And at the same time, Donovan Smith's guy was right around Brady's feet. So Brady got kind of twisted up, and he was trying to bring the ball down and all this stuff. The ball comes out, right? It lands there. Kappa is not blocking anybody. He's turned around and he's looking at the situation. He comes over, steps over top of the ball to help Wirfs block.
Oh, he didn't realize it was a fumble.
No idea there was a fumble there. Yeah.
He probably thought the play was over. Like it was a sack. Brady had dropped the ball.
Yeah, he had no idea. But it was just stuff like that this whole game. It was it was the weirdest stuff. It was very strange. We had 18 blitzes on our defense. We blitzed 18 times. I've heard 22 out there, but I tell you, man, it is hard. It's hard with this team, and I've said it for ever since Todd Bowles has been here, to tell what's a blitz and what isn't, because we do so much movement. You know, we have guys dropping back. We have cornerbacks coming in. We have safeties coming in. We've got defensive tackles dropping back into coverage. We'll have guys that will run up to the line after the ball is snapped and then run back. So it's really hard to tell when there's a blitz or what the blitz is. If it is a blitz, sometimes it'll look like a blitz, but it's not. So what I do is I always wait about a second after the ball is snapped, then I pause it and I count how many guys are coming across the line. And doing that, there was 18 blitzes. Now we got some pressure, but weirdest damn thing. Almost every time we had the quarterback, we ended up falling over each other. Oh, no. There was at one point where we had 3 Buccaneers. It was Vita Veas, Ndamukong Suh, and Golston were in a pile on top of each other.
Why? Because
they came in and just ran into each other. It was the weirdest thing.
Oh my gosh!
And it wasn't really Keystone Cops. It was just like, this can't just. It was just bad mojo throughout this whole game. You know? But
somebody
with the blitzes,
put a voodoo curse on us.
Yeah. Oh, ooh. Halloween night in the voodoo land.
In New Orleans, yeah.
You know what? That's that subconscious stuff, man.
Yeah.
You know, you play there on Halloween night, you're hexed.
And how many of those guys know? I mean, we don't know if that's like the lore there or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, every area kind of has their own culture and history and all that stuff. And you have a lot of guys on the Buccaneers team who are from Louisiana, from that area.
Yeah.
So.
Ooh, bad mojo. Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's a good point.
Maybe.
That is a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really think about that, but it makes total sense now. And if I would have thought about that going into that, it would have all made perfect sense. But the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm going, what is going on here? It's so strange. So, yeah, we blitzed 18 times total, but only 4 in the second half. Almost all of our blitzing was in the first half. 16.
Maybe that was
14.
the plan against Jameis Winston.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
But not Trevor Simeon.
We do this constantly. We never play the same. You know, we never play the same on defense from game to game or from quarter to quarter, from half to half. You know, we're just always mixing it up. You never know what we're going to do. I don't even know if they know what they're going to do all the time. There were a few broken assignments of blocking that caused Brady to get hit, sacked. But other than that, the O-line played pretty good. Kappa was involved in almost all the miscommunication problems for the most part. There was some great blocking at points, and then some, like, what the hell's going on blocking? And it pretty much describes the whole game. It wasn't just the O-line. That was pretty much how it went with everybody. JPP had some nice balls batted down, but other than that, he didn't really do anything. I think he batted 4 of them down.
Yeah.
One of them.
Well, he couldn't catch them because he's got the club on the hand still.
Right. But then he got confused on the end around, and it was his job to have containment. And he got lost. He got confused, didn't know what was going on. And actually, went to the inside, and then everybody else turned around and started following the ball, and he was just like, what's going on?
Oh, no.
And again, that's not like him at all. And that's the reason why that end around worked, because JPP wasn't on the outside, having contained like he normally does. And that was a 22-yard run. The defensive line was beating their guys, but then they were just like falling over each other. It's very strange, very strange. But like I said, we played like we were in a fog. And I'm going to go through some of these plays and just describe them to let you know what I'm talking about. In the first quarter, 10:54, Kappa decided that he was going to help Tristan Wirfs block for some reason and didn't see a blitzer coming straight up the middle. And that guy just creamed Tom Brady.
I think I remember that one.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady got the ball off, but he got walloped.
Yeah.
And that was just one of those, what the world are you thinking? But that happened quite a bit. And it wasn't anything that they were doing. It was just Kappa just like, I'm going to go stand over here instead of block this guy. At 8:25 in the second quarter, Kappa and Wirfs had a miscommunication problem. They were double teaming a guy, and then they both stopped blocking him at the same time and went and helped somebody else.
No.
Yes. No, they stopped blocking him, and they both went to the second level. Now, normally one of them was going to stay back and block the guy.
So they both thought the other one had it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the guy ended up making a tackle for a loss. Hey. They both were blocking him, and then both stopped blocking him and went to block linebackers. And he was just like, I'll tackle this runner that's coming here. And on that same play, Howard got beat by his guy who got in on the tackle for the loss. And that put us in a 3rd and 6 where Brady gets strip sacked on the very next play. Yeah, it was just boneheaded stuff. Both Wirfs and Donovan Smith were beat by their men on the play that Brady got sacked and strip sacked. 92 beat Smith on the outside, and 94 pushed Wirfs back into Brady causing the fumble. Kappa missed seeing the fumble that was literally laying right at his feet. I mean, he like stepped over the ball to go help Wirfs block. It was just that kind of stuff this whole game, and it wasn't bad playing. It was just things weren't going right. It's very strange. Second quarter, 6:27. I mean, damn, we had 8 guys covering 4 receivers. 8 guys covered 4 receivers. And Trayvon ended up missing a tackle, and a 2-yard pass turned into a 12-yard gain because of it.
Who's Trayvon?
Tryon.
Tryon. Oh, okay.
Tryon. Second quarter, 5:38. 2nd and 10 on Tampa Bay's 38. Devin White overshoots his guy in coverage. I don't know why. I mean, it was just strange. The guy was coming across the field. Devin White goes to cover him, and they just like cross pass. And Devin White went like 2 steps and went. I mean, you could literally see him go, "Oh crap!" And he turns around to go cover this guy. And the guy ends up catching the pass and getting some yardage. 58 Barrett, he gets tie held to the ground. The guy actually grabbed him by the back of the helmet, shoves him to the ground. 93 Sue, he beats 51. 51 was just getting whooped all game. He beats 51, but then runs into a pack of people. There were just people there, and he couldn't get to the quarterback because we had so many people in the backfield as usual. So it was a 14-yard gain on that play on a pass that never should have even been completed. It was just stuff like that all night. Third quarter, 1:15. Whitehead could have had an interception there. He ended up batting the ball down instead. He cut in front of him, and everybody kind of looked at him and was like, "Why didn't you catch that?" The very next play, 54, David does a great job reading the play, but he misses the tackle. It was a tackle for a loss on Kamara. I mean, he was right there.
That is not like him.
I know. And Kamara ended up getting like 5 yards on the play. Just when David was in the backfield. He read it perfectly. Got in there. Just totally whiffed on the tackle. Darden, our returner, slipped twice.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I remember.
Contact. And the field wasn't really necessarily slippery. And both times, one time in particular, he had an open field. There was a huge hole. And he just slipped and fell down. Just third quarter, 33 seconds left. This was a low snap fumbled by Simeon, but recovered by Simeon. But then in the fourth quarter, 9:26, the center snaps the ball, and Simeon wasn't expecting it. It hit him right in the nuts. You see him double over. But when he doubles, he like doubles over in pain. But when he doubled over, the football lodged there. So he was able to get it and continue the play.
Did he recover?
Yeah, he stayed in, but he was in pain.
No, I mean like just during the play. Did he throw it or what did he do with it?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. But yeah, it didn't turn into a mess. Yeah. Was my point. Crap was going right for them. We couldn't. I mean, even when they throw the ball in our hands, we couldn't do anything with it. Man. Fourth quarter, 5:42, the 2-point attempt. Yeah, it was Mike Evans. He looked totally confused. He looked like he didn't know what play it was. So he had just kind of ended up standing there. He didn't block anybody.
And he was supposed to be blocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember Chris Godwin, he like runs over and he like runs into a wall of three guys. And you're like, who was supposed to, like, why did he do that?
Yeah. And Evans is standing there kind of like with his hands up, like, what am I supposed to be doing? He was like looking around. It was very strange. You could tell he got confused on what he was going on. What the play was. And then there was the end around with JPP. That was just strange. One thing about our team is our defense is very smart. We usually don't fall for trick plays and stuff like that. And that one right there was, I mean, it ended up being a 22-yard end around. And it was JPP was kind of running around with his, like a chicken with his head cut off, which never happens. Then you had Evans with the bomb. That bomb that I don't know why he didn't catch it or at least stick his arms out for it. It was right there. He got a little slowed down by his defender, but that was strange. But you get that with Evans. It seems like at least once a game you're going to have one of those. And then there was the other one right before the interception where Tom Brady throws in the ball and on all 22 you can see he adjusted his route the wrong way. Tom Brady threw a perfect pass, but Evans kind of cut in.
Oh, went the wrong way.
Yeah, well, it went the wrong way a little bit.
I thought we were done with that, but.
Yeah. Then you had the Brady bad decision on the last interception. Fourth quarter, 119. Kappa was beat by 90 for a sack. That's one where you could say, okay, we got beat by him. That's fine. We didn't beat ourselves on this one. We got beat. There wasn't no bad voodoo there. We just got beat. That was for that sack. The first sack at the end of the game. Then 2 plays later, Johnson drops a ball right into his hands that would have given us a first down. I mean, it was right in a bread basket. It was just.
It was a hot potato.
Yeah, the absolute worst time you could drop a ball. And the very next play on 4th down, Marpet and Jensen both totally ignored Quan Alexander, who was lined up right in front of Jensen. He lined up on the defensive line right in front of Jensen. They snapped the ball, and Jensen goes to the left to help Marpet block, and Kappa goes to the right, and I think he was helping Wirfs block or he was blocking somebody to the right. I can't remember. No, he was helping Wirfs block. He went over their double team. So they both went to double team somebody else. And you could see Alexander stood there for a second, and he was like, what? Nobody's going to try to block me. And he just had a free shot, just ran straight in, tackled Brady. So, that's just how the game was. It was just weird stuff the whole game. We did not play well. I would say we brought our C game, C minus. It wasn't like we were playing bad. It was just like we were playing like we had just woken up. Like we bad sleep that night or whatever. It's very strange. Very, very strange game to watch on the All-22. You just didn't get that that sense that we were all together with it. Mm-hmm. And there was all the bad juju. And I think you're exactly right. It was voodoo. Probably everybody in stands had little voodoo dolls sticking on.
They were passing them out when you came in. It was like Tom Brady, little voodoo dolls.
Yeah, so that's what it is. That's how that All 22 turned out. There wasn't a lot that I wanted to put on film. I actually only had 2 plays by the end of it all. I was just like, well, there was only 2 that I was like going to clip out and make videos of. That's not near enough. So hopefully we'll do better moving forward. I'm sure we will.
I think the bye week is going to do us good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's good to get all these crap games out of the way at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I think so too. We're just shaking the rust off still.
Yeah, and this was a crap game. I mean, they didn't beat us. Not by a long shot. We just beat ourselves. Refs helped out a little bit, but then again, they helped out by not calling the 7 penalties on us. Yeah, that's never happened before.
I know, that's unusual.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, guys, I want to thank everyone who's decided to support this podcast with a subscription. It means a great deal to us. And if you'd like to throw some change our way in support, you can click in the link in the description. You can choose your own support level. They start at 99 cents a month, $4.99 up to $9.99 or something like that. So, there's a little bit there for everybody. And we really, really do appreciate it, man. It means a lot to us. And we appreciate all you guys, even the you poor people out there that can't support us. No, it does make a difference. So because, we've done this. It's been a labor of love for many years. And it's so easy for us to go, oh, we've got stuff coming up or we don't feel like it. So we'll just put a podcast out tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Mm-hmm. But now that we actually have people that we feel like, they're contributing a little bit of something, we feel like, hey, we feel accountable now. Mm-hmm. And every day we're been like, we got to do a podcast today. That's right. We do. We're going to get around it. We got people.
True.
So
can't disappoint the people.
I know. The peeps. And we do appreciate it, guys, man. You got anything else, Molly?
You guys are the best. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Washington coming up. We'll have the next podcast out Wednesday. We're still undecided whether we're going to go to the Washington game or not. After this.
We are. There's a chance? You're telling me there's a chance?
Well, you were looking at seat prices the other day.
I know.
They're like 150, right? And there's not many left. We need 3.
Yeah.
So I want to take my kid. I want to take her to the football. She would love it, but I would so much rather it be Tampa Bay Buccaneers home field.
And that area up there, I lived there for a year. It's just,
it's ugly.
Not great.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not my cup of tea. The traffic's really bad.
Oh, it's horrible.
First of all.
The Beltway, ugh.
Awful. Yes. So.
Stadium's not that great either.
I've never been in the stadium.
Yeah.
But I would love to see the Bucs whoop up on them, and we'll be surrounded by sad Washington fans.
Every time I've gone there, they've lost. The Buccaneers have lost every single time.
So maybe me and the baby should go and you should stay home.
And it's going to be a revenge game, too. They want this one badly.
Yeah.
We knocked them out of the playoffs last year.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's another thing with the Saints game. They just wanted it more than we did.
Yeah.
They were a tad bit more physical and it seemed to have more energy. Like I said, it seemed like we just had a hangover, it seemed like, and nothing was going our way.
Maybe we were.
Maybe. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us. Till next time.
Go Bucs.